And we are live. Welcome back to On the King's Dime. It is, what even is the date today? I don't even know. The 18th of the 6th. It's been almost 3 months since we recorded our last episode. COVID-19 lockdown has been, what has it been? It's been lengthy.
It's been lengthy. It's been weight gaining, and it's been a bit boring, to be
I
honest
feel
with
like
you.
I'm at a decent weight. A little bit red. A little bit red. This nerves. Haven't done this for a while, but we're back to talk about the Kings. Yeah, where we're gonna start. We're gonna start from reflecting on where we chatted at the end of last season. The finals, obviously, what do we call that now? Like, obviously, we'll start by saying that the decision to shut everything down was validated. I think in our last episode, we were sort of talking about, oh man, it's been a couple of days, and everything's starting to shut down. I think we made the right decision, but absolutely 100%, we made the right decision stopping that.
Yeah, I think that the air travel and everything from the last couple of games would have just been ridiculous. I think there was too many unknowns back then. I think there's a lot more knowns now, and if you look even back in hindsight, it was the right decision from the team. Unless they could get private jets in and out, there was no reason not to call it as it was. And you can kind of tick that off as the end of the glorious rise of the NBL. I think it's going to be tough for 3 or 4 years, really, about how they go about building a brand without a TV deal, without the ability to have fans in the stadium, without big name players. And let's be real, there's not going to be a lot of big name players. You probably won't see a Next Stars program because the NBA and the G League and the draft has been so weirdly thrown out that we kind of just stuck with local talent probably for the next 2 years. And
is that a good or bad thing?
I would hope that it's good enough to bring some of the guys back from Europe back to Oz, because I don't think Europe is going to have the stability to start a league or to maintain a league, especially because it's so not just nation based, but also inter-country based. With the falling Australian dollar, with the fact that we don't have a TV deal, the huge cut they've taken in the collective bargaining agreement. We can always say that you've lost the main man in Andrew Bogut, really, because I think
not lost.
I think lost in the sense that the body for dollar ratio isn't there. He's not going to play.
I think he's just doesn't want to make a decision. Like, doesn't know what's happening. He's an older guy. He's not really hungry for the action. I think if you watch that or if you listen to that Hoops Capital podcast, he wasn't really that happy with how the season ended and how like the league in general, and he just hasn't really seemed that happy with how like the league's running in general, which has kind of it kind of explains a bit of his broodiness the last couple of years. But is like as a fan, should that get in the way of what the impact that he's had on the team? Right, it shouldn't really. But at the same time, like, to me, it explains why he's a little bit conservative in general in making decisions. Like, he's not going to like just straight away sign a contract knowing that there's real league uncertainty and kind of worldwide uncertainty as well. Anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. I also think that he's part of his buy-in to coming back to the NBL was that he got part ownership in the Kings. So even as if the team and the value of that team is just disintegrated, really, because there is no value to an NBL franchise now. It has zero revenue. The crowds aren't there. It's not a money-making exercise, really. It's just protective. Would you not want to see your brand post-career grow like the Sydney Kings? Like, all right, I own 10% of this franchise. I'm going to play next year because I know that my name in this competition will give a viewing and an audience more so than if I'm not here. And that's going to grow the Sydney Kings brand even further because we're going to piggyback off, what was really a phenomenal year into a lot of uncertainty, probably no overseas players, probably no Next Stars. What do you do from there? Or do you just like, okay, we'll just sign a lot of local talent. It's kind of going to be an NBL one scenario
Mm.
where you've got a couple of good old vets and some young talent. We probably can note that Craig Moller, Brad Newley,
Shawnee Bruce as well.
Johnny Big Balls Bruce.
Yep.
They're the ones that I know so far have re-signed. Obviously, I think we have to come and talk about Kevin Lish retiring at some stage.
Yeah, man.
I think
I was
that's
gutted. So gutted.
that was gutting. It was. But I think to play on an ankle that is just mush. Well, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like
man.
his ankle's
It
mush.
is.
It's just
his leg is like mush apparently at the moment. So it sucks, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that. We should so last season, at the end of, like, in our last episode, at the end of this final series, you did make a Bullock-Stradamus pick that we would be back in June/July. So it's pretty good. That's come true, which has been good.
Yep.
Listening to that back, we were quite like, man, like philosophical about, damn, like society's going to break down. It hasn't really broken down. I don't think that
It has in America. Hold on.
Well,
Let's put the society has completely disintegrated. You know what? In Australia, we have it pretty good. The government went, here's free money, everyone. Even if you lose your job, you got to spend money for 6 months. The banks went, hey, don't pay your mortgage for 6 months. We'll say that's fine. And so everyone kind of went, oh yeah, we'll just stay at home and eat food and just chill out and hang out and do what it is. And it's very different in that altruistic society of America. And I think it's none so more that there's such disparity in the NBA at the moment with players and some players and then, other players. And I'm not going to even get it.
That situation that's going on. It's so hard to draw a bow to what's happening in Australia. Like, we obviously as a country take a lot of our lead from the US. But in this scenario, I can feel that everyone's just a bit like, yeah, you guys just stay over there and you just do that over there, and we'll just keep doing what we're doing here. And
pretty much,
like we were sort of talking about the globalization having an effect, or the lack of globalization now, that's going to have an effect on, bringing in imports, guys coming from overseas, et cetera, et cetera. There's been no flights in and out of the country. Some of our guys basically just left the country to go back to their families in other countries, which was lucky. Had a big effect on our decision at the end to sort of not play the rest of that finals. But if you look at what Australia's done, how much of that has had an effect on the fact that we're possibly going to get back to some normality at the end of this year? Because I don't know, I don't know how much of an effect really, like it's been a whole collective effort from everyone to kind of stay indoors, make sure they're doing everything the right way. Will we see a ball bounce this year?
NBL, yeah, we'll see games, and I think we'll see them probably on target for October. You'll see probably limited preseason. You won't see any interstate travel for preseason. You may see, based on the fact if they let crowds or don't let crowds, them potentially playing in only 2 or 3 spots. So, not traveling from states like Perth to the East Coast. Maybe Perth will have to set up in Victoria somewhere or something, same as Adelaide, because depends if there's travel bubbles and things like that, like the NRL's kind of doing with the Warriors over here. So you may see that. But again, I don't know if there's enough money for the league to support that without some sort of TV revenue guarantee or some fans getting into the stadiums and paying some ticket prices and buying some merch. So
and then there's the Breakers.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The Breakers.
Realize, the Breakers are going to have to do a similar thing if they come over here. But depending, I guess New Zealand might have some concessions there, because they've done quite well as well.
There might be a trans-Tasman bubble, but again, it might be one of those things that the volume of flights isn't there. It's not regular and guaranteed. It's a bit of an unknown. What happens if there's cases? So it might be one of those things that they're required to relocate just for ease of bubbleness. You obviously want to, because they'd have to get on a plane potentially every week or every second week, and that you just don't want to expose yourself in that respect if there is cases, because we know as soon as you, with the Bulldogs playing the Dragons over, Aiden Tolman's in 2 weeks quarantine.
Well, that was one thing I wanted to touch on, like prior to any sort of thing happening in terms of COVID around this sport, like I guess prior, like not knowing the consequences of what's happening, like you look at it and you just go, oh my god, if there's a case, everything's gonna have to shut down. It's over. Like we go back to doing the same thing again. But I thought like the NRL handled that quite well. They took him out and was like, yep, quarantine. We're going to play the game 2 days later, and it kind of just swept under the rug, and everyone was like, oh yeah, football's back again. Like sweet. Like I thought like we handled that well. Look, we saying just the NRL handled that well by just going, oh yeah, we took him out, and it gives you hope that these sports might come back. And like we have the scope to, instead of just going, okay, now shut it all down again. It's over. Like shut it all down. We're going back into lockdown. Like it feels like people are more now receptive to going, oh, we'll just isolate him. We'll keep going. We'll make sure to take some precautions, and then we'll move forward. Whereas back 3 months ago when the league sort of finished, like it was very much like, oh man, like what's going to happen if there's another case? Like everything was just shut down again. Like it was a bit more up in the air, but it feels like everyone's a bit more receptive now to knowing the danger and sort of like moving through it rather than reacting to it.
And also, community transmission is so low in most of Australia compared to the rest of the world. So you kind of, when someone does get a case, it's lockdown, track and trace. Although that hilariously, that one teacher that was at Aidan Tolman's kids' primary school put 230 families into 14-day quarantine.
Damn.
So you can imagine, like, if that went through a high school with 1,000 kids.
Oof.
You know what I mean? Like it's still crazy. Like it's still they're 14 days. Got to be at home for 14 days. They've got to get tested at the end, and then it'll move through. So I think that's also good now, is that there's potential for testing. There's readily available testing that the whole team could be tested between games. There's enough time period lapse where all those players could be tested. I think that the government is interested enough in getting sport up and running that they will put aside health concessions for rugby league teams to get tested regularly. And so that will translate into other sports, especially summer sports like cricket, which is a huge dollar spinner for Australia. And
for sure, I think like what I said, like what I was saying, like it's gonna like give people more confidence to just not just be like, oh, everyone back in the hole, like we were outside for 2 seconds, back in the hole type of thing, which is good.
Back in the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it gets everyone back in the pile. If it gets beyond a point where they're getting a lot of unknown source infections, then I think there will be some clamping down. And you know what? It could be that could really be a week away in Victoria. We don't know yet. Like it's been a kind of an interesting upward trend over the last 4 days. Hopefully that kind of clamps back down and it goes back down to normal, because realistically we want to see this virus gone from our shores and from New Zealand and have this nice little bubble where we're safe in the world. That's why no one's really rioting here, because we're all safe. We're all fed, relatively speaking.
We're all pretty happy, and you kind of look at what this country represents, and we're all pretty laid back and like calm about things, man. We don't just get super upset about things. Like I said, I could have seen it happen, like kicking off, and everyone sort of, oh no, start, like shut it down again. But they handled that quite well in the NBA. So that's been a welcome sight, I think, in terms of like getting sport back in the country, like a concerted effort for people to get sports to come back, because we need that. I think we do need that.
The NBA will not start back up. That's my Bullock-Stradamus prediction. It is slated to start for the 31st of July. But if you look at cases in Florida where they're talking about having it at Disney, they're increasing 18 to 24% daily because Florida is not in lockdown. So yeah, man, that is a basket of fish, really. That's just a nuts situation over there.
Scary, dude.
And what the scary things, at this current rate, they won't reach herd immunity for 27 years.
27 years.
Based on known cases and known infection rate. Based on known, there's obviously a lot of people that may have had this but based on known infection rate, 27.
That's so crazy, just to think about that, eh?
Yeah, it's nuts. So should we
so let's talk about like health of the King's Dime in general. Like, what have you been doing during lockdown?
Playing a ton of Xbox. Of Xbox. Started running. That was horrible.
How'd that go for you?
I can run better now and further, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I started back at the gym last week. Yeah,
Yeah,
wearing.
how's that?
That's
Like,
enough.
is it weird going outside and like interacting with people?
Oh, if someone gets a virus, like I wear a full N95 mask when I'm at the gym.
Oh, sick. Does that you get looks?
Yeah, fuck them,
Yeah, fair enough.
stuff them. I
Eh,
should say.
It's all
Well,
right. We'll
again,
bleep that out.
bleep that out. But it's one of those things. Is you look at that environment, and that is a prime ripe breeding ground for coronavirus.
Mm,
Obviously, people panting and huffing and puffing indoors in a closed environment.
mm.
So, wear your mask, people.
Too early
That's all.
to open back up?
No, it's the right time. I think. I think that we have to put up with the situation where potentially we're going to get it. Potentially, it's going to come back into the community. Potentially, you're going to have it. But I think they understand the virus a lot better now than 3 months ago. You're less likely to die now than 3 months ago. They know that.
Mm.
And that's nothing that you've seen in the media in the last 3 days. That's a load of crap. Um, dexamethasone has actually been used in the US for the last 3 months as prednisone, but it's a clotting disease, so you have to use heparin and warfarin. But I could talk
Yeah.
forever
Slow
about
down, egghead.
the disease forever. But yeah, it's a lot safer now. I think that quietly New South Wales and other health departments around the country have been treating patients quite well. Actually, today, an 81-year-old who's been in the hospital for 3 months on and off a ventilator walked out of the hospital in Australia. So that's
Damn.
showing you that treatment here is far superior to that in other places in the world. So it's going to be a part of the community. It's going to happen. People potentially going to get it. We're going to just have to live with it. But you have to somewhat go out and live your life. It was the right thing to lock down when they did, just to minimize that risk to the vulnerable. And then it's up to us youngins to get out there and start printing some money for the government.
Yeah, so hopefully, yeah, sport can play a big part of that because I think that coming back is going to be a huge driver
Yeah.
in some any economic recovery. Like it's pretty bleak at the moment. I mean, going to my story, I just basically went to 12-hour days after we got locked down because of what my job. I had grand plans of putting out content, like really getting into the on the King's Dime off season. But yeah, it's basically 12-hour days for me, and I didn't get locked down at all. So I was, like at start, I was like, "What? Why is it me who has to do this? It sucks, man. I don't want to be here doing this. Like, I don't want to be around people." But then after a couple of weeks, it was just like, and a lot of people are losing their jobs, so I'm pretty happy to be going to work every day. So that was good. Like, it would have been nice to do a little bit more content in the off season, but it's just been full on, man. Like like it's weird working in packaging, going from being like we just make trash to now you're like food security is king, man. Like people want packaging because securing food is really really important to keeping away germs, keeping away things like not necessarily like in a practical sense, but the scope of what people are thinking of now is like I prefer something that people haven't touched, which
Yes.
it's weird. That's a weird thing to think about, though. Do you think? Like, just the
Well, it's
psychology of
kind
people's
of
buying habits is weird, but
it is kind of weird because when this first kind of had like get out the sanitize all your groceries. Now I'm kind of like just that's fine. The groceries should
yeah,
be
like
okay.
how weird was it at the start where there was all this like the toilet paper epidemic and stuff like that?
Yeah, but that's just stupid people. That really is
Yeah,
dumb people.
but still, like we're past
So
that now.
so the Blockstradamus prediction about 4 weeks before lockdown, I said to my wife, it's like, I'm just going to get an extra thing of Kleenex every shop, just so we've got a bit of, because watch people go nuts, and people went to jail over stealing toilet paper. This is how
There was
dumb.
like fights and stuff. It was nuts.
This is how dumb
Like
sometimes humanity is when it comes to a panic. It's just you fight over things. Jump in the shower and wash yourself. Like how,
yeah, man. At the
just
start,
use a
like
bit
I
of.
was getting like a cloth and a thing and like wiping stuff. I was like, sick. Remember when you used to do this? Like, it's not wipes anymore. It's like spraying stuff and cleaning it. This is awesome. And then after a few days, when the thing was soggy, I was just like, oh yeah, that's why I hate doing this. You just chuck the thing in the bin afterwards. So much easier.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
yeah,
that it,
it's been just weird, man. Like, what about your appetite for basketball? Because I had also had plans of just being like, you know what I'm going to do when I'm locked down? I'm going to watch lots of basketball, and then working, coming home, it's just been like, yeah, I don't care about basketball at the moment, man. Like, It's just
Yeah,
stripped my appetite completely.
it's I played a bit of 2K for about 3 weeks after the season finished. Like, yeah, I'm playing basketball, but then my appetite.
Playing basketball.
I got a hoop outside, so
Yeah, I
I'd
saw that. Your little man's
shoot some hoops,
shooting some hoops too. It's good.
shooting some hoops, and then that kind of stopped when it got really cold. I was like, oh, I'm not going outside now; it's too cold. Um, yeah, it's starting to build up. My want for conclusion in the NBA is starting to build up. Um, I'd like to be back watching some NBL. I was actually looking forward and hoping to watch some NBL one in the off season. Maybe just catch a random Facebook game on the weekend, watching some NBL one, watching some young talent. But that's obviously been cancelled, and rightly so. But yeah, I think October rolls around, we're going to be ready. Hopefully someone puts a TV deal on the table so we get to watch this. I definitely think that it's going to be a logistical challenge, but you know, I think from last year that you're going to get continuation of fans wanting to watch games. So give the people what they want. And you know what? There's not going to be basketball played anywhere else in the world. The CBA started back up and then they locked it straight back down. So and that got canned. So there, may come a time where we're the only people in the world playing basketball, and that would be interesting to watch.
It's a pretty crazy thought, eh? Like there was that feeling because, like, when the finals was on, we were pretty much the only sport left going because the other sports hadn't started up yet, etc. So like the NRL and the AFL and that, like, you could feel the thirst for just keep it going because we're the only guys being watched at the moment. We want everyone to watch it, and ultimately that's not a healthy like way to propagate the league. Really, like just being like just sell your soul just to get some views on the league. Like I would prefer them to put a base down, get a TV deal, like use this now to rebuild the platform of the league. Like it was operating kind of like a floating floor type scenario where, like, without the TV deal, they were able to put things together. Franchises with the crowds were able to kind of keep it going. Like I don't know whether it's possible. Like I'm just speculating, but like I'd prefer them to put something down now for the next few years to start it up fresh and then try and kind of rebuild. But I just don't know. Like we've obviously got the Illawarra stuff, the Hawks franchise, rather. It's not Illawarra now, is it? I think they just bought the Hawks franchise license.
Yeah, the Hawks. Yeah.
Did
So
you read about that, didn't you? In depth.
yeah, it's. I don't know if it's gonna be there essentially next year or if it's going to relocate. But I think we'll know more in the next couple of months. I remember the Tasmania is meant to be getting a license
Tassie Hawks
next year. Maybe
that'd be so weird without Illawarra.
It'd be a shame because I think Illawarra is a nice little niche community. And there's not that many cities. We can't have 3 Sydney franchises. I think we've seen that doesn't work. I think the 2 Melbourne franchises worked because Melbourne's love sport and they go watch 2 flies run up a wall.
About the 5th time you've dropped that on this pod. That's good.
It is that they'll watch anything. It's ridiculous. I mean, what is there to do in Melbourne? There's no beaches. There is beaches, but they're not as good as Sydney's.
Yeah.
And this is a Sydney podcast, so
yeah,
check it out.
Melbourne.
Yeah,
How good was that semi-final? God, we wrecked them, man. That was so good.
That was so good going to that game.
But like even that, like that feeling of just going, oh god, that was a good that end of that season. Like after this, after the epidemic, like it's been so easy for me to just be like, you know what, sports not on my radar anymore. I'm just whatever. And plus, obviously, like I'm obviously really good at when my teams lose, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to even think about it. I'm just shutting it out. That's probably part of it too. But yeah, it's like I just got a little bit of an itch. But at the same time, like with the NBL, like there's not enough meat. Like with the NBA, there's heaps of meat. There's a lot of journalism, and there's a lot of things to really delve into. A lot of meat to that sandwich when you're connected to the NBA. But the NBL, there's not really that much there. A lot of salaries are undisclosed. A lot of like front office stuff doesn't really get put out in the open. There's not that much journalism. But yeah, man, like it's going to be very interesting if we see any sort of competition this season. I don't know, this year rather.
I think we will. I think come October, it may be shortened. I think it might be shortened to maybe accommodate more teams being in one place at once. So they give you a product. The the players are paid and it's based on TV, so you may get a smaller volume in order for TV, deal rights and things like that. But I think we'll get some product, and you know what? I'm still going to support it. I'm still going to watch it. Will I go to a game? Don't know. But if there's any way to buy some merch maybe and support the Kings, then happy to do that. Yeah. I think we should crack on to the retirement of the greatest, probably one of the greatest NBL players of all time, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. 2-time MVP, I think he was, or 1-time MVP.
So I think it's 2-time MVP.
I said look up the stats, but I didn't end up looking them up. It's been too busy.
I think it's two times MVP, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm just Googling it now. Kevin Lynch NBL career. Calls time on his career, ESPN. Yeah, it was sad, man. It was almost like he retired, and it was just like, I'm not ready yet, man. I don't want to see it yet, man. You know, it was that kind of feeling. Like, it wasn't like, oh man, great career, top notch, like brilliant. Like, it just like, I'm not ready, man. No, I think if he did yet.
Yeah, I think if he hadn't done that ankle, we might have got another year out of him.
He looked so good in that finals too. Like, got us out of a hole in that Perth game. Champion 2010, finals MVP in 2010, 2 times MVP, defensive player of the year. Only one. That's a travesty. Only one defensive player of the year. 3 times All NBL first team, All NBL second team, NBL scoring champion 2012, French Cup champion in 2014. What a player, man.
Pretty illustrious career.
It sucks.
It's kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard when you lose 2 awesome vets in the same season. But then that's the NBL. You're getting those really good guys towards the end of their career at most of the time. At the best of times, anyway. So.
And such a good dude too.
Yeah, good dude. Big family.
You know what I mean? Like it's always like, for me, I synergize with athletes that are just, I love the game, top notch. I don't synergize with the over the top hype type of guys. Like, I don't know, like how the stereotypical like jock athlete. Like, that's not the guys I synergize with. Guys like Kevin Lish, you just go about their game. He's an absolute stud. Like, those guys are just no fanfare. And, man, heartbreaking. Now you make me want to cry now, bringing it up. It sucks.
No dramas on or off the court. Just no dramas. Easy going. Not on Twitter. We don't want to hear everything on Twitter from certain individuals. Twitter should be taken off.
Which is a nice segue into, we should like expand on our little talk about Bogut before, where he's opted out. I'm kind of like, yeah, that's fair enough, man.
Yeah, I think he was hoping that this would be his last year anyway. He'd play the Olympics and that was it. So, and then when the Olympics got postponed, I think it put a bit of a spanner in the works. He's like, I'm going to have to play another season to get to the Olympics, because I think that's his goal. I don't even think the Olympics is going ahead next year. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I know.
Who knows? And if it doesn't go ahead next year, then it's not going to go ahead at all until 2024. So, who really knows? I don't think he's going to sign for another team. I think he's just keeping options. Like, he did sell his Sydney home though, so that's a bit strange.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. That like, sometimes in, when you're looking at NBA's trade sagas and stuff, you're like, sold his home, man. Like, that's pretty much a big sign that he's going to leave. But I don't know. Like, he's such a strange character to read. Like, and like, I feel like I'm not going to sign, like, plays into like his mentality. Like, throughout his career, he's always been someone who's like, I'm switched on, I know what's happening, I'm in charge of my own career. Like, I'm gonna take the I'm not gonna sign option over doing something that's risky. Like, yeah, I'll sign and come back and, guarantee my future here, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you can guarantee that he has a plan under the hood. He's not just not signing because, oh no, man, like, uncertainty, I don't want to sign. Like, you can tell, like, there's a plan there, just looking at the moves he's made throughout his own career. So, and he's quite a switched on dude. So we could see him back. But
I think there might be, don't sign on this CBA. Maybe that if they do get crowds, if they do get a TV deal, then there'll be a revised CBA for the start of the season that gives him more options potentially to bargain for more money. But yeah, if he's going to play any chance of playing in Tokyo, he's going to have to play over the summer.
Mm.
I think a lot of time off for these guys is going to make their bodies heal a bit as well, especially some of the older NBA players. Because literally, you have to think about it. These guys probably get 3 weeks off to 4 weeks off of complete like body rest on a non-Olympics year.
Mm.
Because like they get postseason. If you play the finals, you're playing deep into June.
We're talking about NBA, right?
We're talking about NBA.
Yeah.
We're talking about the NBA and potentially NBL if Bogut goes to the NBA or if they go
Yeah, true.
like
Yeah.
that. So they go deep into July, June, and then they're having 4 weeks off, and then back to training camp and getting their body ready. Like the whole world shut down for like 3 months. Like no one did anything.
Yeah, yeah. I
People
think
weren't
like
allowed.
listening to the Hoops Capital, Newley was like, "Yeah, I haven't even touched a ball, man. Didn't want it, didn't care." Like, but even he says that he doesn't like warm down the end of his season. Like he just basically goes on a holiday and he's just like, "I'm on a holiday." You know what I mean? Like, whereas
Yeah,
a guy like Giannis is just like, "What's my next regime? Like, what am I working on here? What am I doing this?" Like, you can tell that guy just finishes the season, then he's just like, "All right, what can I get better at?" Whereas, yeah, when Newley was talking about it, he is just like, "I just go on a holiday because like I need a holiday." And some players are different. Some players love just work, endless work ethic, and some players, like I see it in professional careers in general, like not just in sporting careers. It's like some people need to just be like, I need a holiday, like,
Mm.
and that's how they operate. Like I work, and then I go have a holiday, and then I'm ready to come back to work. I think this is going to be make it a bit weird and a bit different, just the extended amount of leave from the game.
Yeah. Look, if
And then breaking up this team too. Like obviously Casper definitely left, definitely opted out.
opted out, yes,
Yeah.
definitely opted out. Jayshawn Tate opted out. Xavier Cooks opted out.
Yeah,
Bogut opted out. So really, Lish retired.
that's
Jordan
kind of
Hunter,
gutting the team, man.
I think Jordan Hunter is 2 year a 2 year contract, so there was no opting out. He was part of the. Haven't heard anything about Kickett. I don't think Kickett's made a decision yet. I mean, he is fairly old.
Mm.
Um,
Kind of at a
and then
weird
you've got
stage too in this team, where not quite an important part of the team, but not quite a like clamoring to resign, man. Like get his signature on paper type of guy, you know.
yeah. But then again, in a world of zero imports, how important is a guy that can hit 90, 50, 40?
True.
Even just to stretch the floor. And Will Weaver seems to have pretty good magic working him out and how to fit him in. And I think he played well at center.
Mm.
I think just stand up and stand in the middle of the lane and that's it. I think if you lower the level of the league, Kickett's value is raised.
Yeah.
As he played last year. And I think that's what's going to happen. The league's going to lower the value of the league's going to lower. Kickett then becomes a definitive starter in any team, even if he is a bit older.
But yeah, he's definitely the trajectory of his career is going down. But as I feel like his savvy has gotten better as he has gotten older, rather than he's obviously a guy who hasn't just been like, I do this one thing, and even though my talent is gone, like even though my physical ability is gone, like I'm still trying to do this thing. Like he's clearly changed the way he plays.
Yeah.
Pulls post kick it out of the bag when he wants to, shoots that long range three. Defensively was a lot better. Like we actually put him in some scenarios that weren't just putting him all at sea, which was important. Yeah, but really this team has just got it. And again, I mentioned to you, it's like watching the A-League where every team just, they put it in a lotto thing and they spin the lotto thing and then it's a whole new team at the end of the year. And that's another part of it where I knew that was coming. And I'm still a bit just like, I hate that. Like I like watching guys for 3 or 4 years mature and develop, form a team. Like it's hard for me to look at a team and go, "Oh, just jumble a team up, put them together, and then play." Like, like it's not the way I like to support a team.
Mm. There's got to be some.
The reality is that's how it works. So.
Yeah. Look, we might be lucky enough to get some of our G Leaguers that come back and play in the off season because they're really not going to have a career up there. So we might get some talent that comes back, like Isaac Humphries, Benky Joyce. Like
Benky
some of these
Joyce
guys,
came back though, didn't he?
No.
Benky Joyce?
Played for Memphis Hustle.
Oh, he went back over. because he was playing for Melbourne when we played against him.
Yeah, did he sign out? He was playing for Memphis Hustle for a
Yeah,
bit.
maybe he went back over there after the season finished.
Yeah.
Brokoff would be pretty sweet in this team.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
Brokoff.
It sucks though. Like, it sucks that we're not a league that can pay like good amounts of money, like overpay people. Like, it's clearly a league that's just like run at absolute value, guys. Like, pick up bargains. Whereas a lot of Europe has a bit more clout to kind of steal our players. Like Jock Landale coming back would be pretty sweet if we could nab him as well.
Well, the other thing as well is that our league is run by a pretty financially savvy dude who knows that they're just one bad contract away from collapse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like the Kings were. So, let's run it at a sensible, let's, make sure that all these teams are financially stable. And we know that some teams are going to be less financially stable because they're small markets. So we're going to make sure that the league's propped up by other teams. It's a sensible thing to do.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, I think league also has a lot of rich owners. Like the Euro League has a lot of rich owners.
Yeah, a lot of it's tied up into like football and stuff like that, like cultural centers of, like country related cultural centers. Rather than in Australia, it's one league with a huge, massive land and 7 teams or whatever type of thing.
Well, that is. It's a smaller, cheaper landscape to operate in. But like in Russia, just like one oil tycoon owns a team over there. It's just like, I pay you $1 million, you come play.
Yeah,
and that's female basketball.
Great Russian accent, that one.
What 1 million you pay?
Yeah, that's better. Bit Ukrainian that was. It was good.
Ukraine, yes.
Yes, that was getting Middle Eastern. But yeah, so we're kind of just like, hey, we got like 6 spots to fill. Sweet, fun times. I don't know. I'd like Brokoff and I'd like Landau to replace Bogut. That'd be a pretty good pickup if we could pick up Landau. With play center, shoot the stretch 5 type stuff. What else? What else do we really need?
Not really. I think obviously. It was just. I think Big Balls Bruce is probably our starting point guard, based on no imports.
Is that good enough? Can we do that?
It's based. Again, it depends who's at Melbourne. I don't think Melo Trimble's there. I don't think Kiss is there. I think Perth is doing everything they can to save Bryce Cotton.
I think they already signed him, didn't they? Didn't he resign?
I think he's agreed to resign, but.
And then did Nicholas K resign?
I'd imagine so.
6th of June 2018, Bryce Cotton signs 3-year deal. Yeah, that's obviously out of date information. Anyway, why are we talking about Perth?
I don't know.
But I think going forward, we've got some roster spots to fill, so it's going to be interesting. And Coach Weaver again is going to have to throw the lottery bag out again and start again and try again, man. Shawnee Bruce and Wild Kyle. Team up Wild Kyle with Shawnee Bruce.
Oh, Banjo.
Your face then, that was great. Oh, that'd be horrible, but still, likable characters. Eh?
Likable characters.
Tries.
Zero defense. Likable characters.
We'll just put up 120 on teams and beat them like that.
So shall we agree to come back maybe in early August for a bit of an update? I think there's no point coming back until we kind of know what this roster is going to hold.
I want to put it out there, maybe like do a rewatchables of this season. Rewatch games. I do want to do that, but I don't have time to do that. It's going to be hard to do. That was what I wanted to do. One of the content things I wanted to do, like go back and look at different parts of the season, et cetera, but I just don't have time, man. Just working like a dog.
That's it, mate.
Keeping
hopefully
food on the table for people. It's important.
It is.
So yeah, we'll think about some content over the next couple of weeks, and then maybe over the next couple of months, try to keep updating people, try to keep interacting with people. Hope everyone out there is staying safe through these tough COVID times.
Indeed.
Anything else you want to get off your chest?
That's it, man. Let's wrap it up. We'll keep in contact and as soon as we kind of get a finalization of what's actually happening and a bit of a start date, we'll come back
Yep. All right. And we'll see everyone next time.
on the King's Dime.
All right. Take it easy, everyone.
See ya.